Today's news highlights 20251009. Date October 9, 2025. Republic of China October 9, 114. Time cutoff point, 1500 hours on the same day. Source, Internet, major news media and channels, official accounts, app data. The channel content is only concise news content and does not have any perception or emotion. News highlights the yuan cash that the whole people are looking forward to will be distributed soon. It is estimated that the third reading will be passed on October 17, and it will be collected at the end of October at the earliest, and no more than 11/17 at the latest, and the distribution operation will start within 1 month after the president's announcement. News highlights: in order to take care of the mayors of Hsinchu who have not reached the threshold of elderly allowance for their registration, the city government plans to issue a love allowance of yuan per person next year, which has the same wealth exclusion conditions as the elderly allowance. Personal income does not exceed 50 yuan, total real estate does not exceed 500 yuan, and those who have already received the elderly allowance cannot receive it repeatedly. The subsidy needs to be announced and implemented after the city council reviews and approves the budget, aiming to allow more elderly people with financial difficulties to live with peace of mind. News highlights: a 47-year-old woman in China suffered a sudden cerebellar hemorrhage and stroke because she had been drinking lahuo soup for a long time and did not take antihypertensive drugs regularly, and died after rescue. Doctors remind patients with high blood pressure to drink less old fire soup that has been simmered for a long time to avoid cerebral hemorrhage, and pay attention to blood pressure control to avoid health risks. News highlights: dermatologist Zhao Xiaoming reminded that a large number of age spots on the chest and back may be a warning sign in the short term. A 60-year-old man developed spots on his chest and back rapidly within half a year, and was found to have early stomach cancer after examination. This phenomenon is called Liesel-Tret syndrome and may be related to the secretion of growth factors by the tumor. Experts suggest that if age spots increase rapidly or cover the torso, gastroenteroscopy should be done as soon as possible to rule out malignant tumors in the gastrointestinal tract. News highlights: 50-year-old artist Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma, which attracted attention. Studies have pointed out that a high-sugar, high-fat diet may promote the occurrence of lung adenocarcinoma, because glycogen accumulates abnormally in cancer cells, providing energy and inhibiting cellular energy alarms, promoting the growth of cancer cells. Functional medicine nutritionists recommend that a balanced diet, control of refined carbohydrate intake, and regular exercise can reduce the metabolic advantage of cancer cells and maintain a healthy metabolic environment. News highlights: the Hsinchu city government plans to issue a love for the elderly allowance of yuan per person next year to take care of the elderly who have not reached the threshold of the elderly allowance due to the time of registration. The applicant must be at least 65 years old, have been registered continuously and have lived in Zushi for more than 10 years, with a personal income of no more than 50 yuan, and the total amount of real estate does not exceed 500 yuan, and those who have already received the pension allowance cannot receive it repeatedly. The subsidy will be announced and implemented after the city council deliberates and approves the budget. News highlights: the long-standing notion that you can only eat 1 egg a day has been overturned by the latest research. Experts point out that eggs are a source of high-quality nutrients that are harmless to cardiovascular health, and there are other factors that really affect cardiovascular health. Many office workers like Chloe also shared that choosing boiled eggs or tea eggs with coffee for breakfast, there are no special restrictions on egg intake throughout the day, focusing on a balanced diet and nutritional supplements. News highlights: gold futures prices exceeded $4,000 per ounce for the first time on the 7th, soaring from $3,000 to $4,000 in half a year, with a cumulative increase of more than 44%. Analysts believe that risk aversion factors such as global turmoil, weak labor force in the United States, and the Russia-Ukraine war have pushed up gold prices. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase & Co. predict that if some funds turn to gold, gold prices are expected to rise further. Investment experts warn that the surge in gold reflects market anxiety, which may trigger a financial bubble, and there is a risk of a correction in the short term, and investors are advised to pay attention to stop-loss and hedging strategies. News highlights: the United States will impose new port fees on ships built, owned, or operated by China on October 14, and the top 10 shipping companies are expected to increase costs by $3.2 billion next year. The move is aimed at supporting the U.S. shipbuilding industry and forcing shipping companies to redeploy Chinese ships. COSCO Group may face a $15.3 billion fee risk. China announced countermeasures against discriminatory measures, and the trade dispute between the two sides is expected to be discussed at the APEC summit at the end of October. News highlights: the overflow of the dammed lake in Guangfu Township, Hualien, Taiwan, caused a major disaster, and the people spontaneously formed a shovel Superman to desilt and rebuild, with about 17 people participating in just 2 weeks and 25 people donating support. The volunteers' unpaid spontaneous actions and touching rescue stories demonstrate the kind power of Taiwanese society and have also touched the attention of international media. News highlights: squats can burn fat, strengthen the core and lower limb muscles, improve balance and joint protection, but improper posture or insufficient warm-up is prone to injury. It is recommended to warm up thoroughly, such as multi-directional lunge squats, can activate joints and awaken muscles, which is an ideal dynamic warm-up movement for practicing squats and gluteal and leg training. News highlights: bowing your head and sitting for a long time can easily cause shoulder and neck pain, mouse hands, and turtle hands. The Vitality Move course demonstrates 3 major parts of relaxation exercises for 5 minutes a week: neck, and shoulders, each with 3 moves, each set of 10-20 times. News highlights: female menopause is prone to fat accumulation, insulin resistance, and osteoporosis due to a decrease in estrogen. Nutritionists recommend eating more prototype foods, balancing 6 major types of foods, and choosing high-quality fats, avoiding excessive dieting or ketogenic diets, and supplementing protein and calcium, which can help maintain healthy weight loss, metabolism, and muscle strength. News highlights: Brazilian Renato celebrated his 113th birthday on October 5 and is certified by Guinness World Records as the oldest living man in the world. His secrets to longevity include being surrounded by loving people and being in the company of kind people, starting his daily life with coffee, pairing it with natural and unprocessed foods such as grapes, and raising a large family. News highlights: the threat of dementia increases with the aging population, with the prevalence of nearly 8% among the elderly over 65 years old in Taiwan. Experts recommend intermittent fasting, breakfast black coffee with turmeric and cinnamon, daily exercise and mindfulness exercises to maintain blood sugar and metabolic stability, reduce chronic inflammation and stress, and effectively reduce the risk of dementia. News highlights: in Japan, the healthy life expectancy in 2019 was 75.38 years for women and 72.68 years for men, but there are still about 9 to 12 years left to be cared for by others. Taiwan's healthy life expectancy is 72.4 years, and the number of unhealthy years is 8.5 years. Extending healthy life requires early lifestyle planning, balanced diet, exercise, and social participation to avoid frailty, disability, and dementia, improve quality of life, and reduce social burden. News highlights: the typhoon caused the overflow of the dammed lake of Matayangsi, severely damaging the Amos tribe in Hualien Guangfu Township, but relying on the age-class system, the tribe mobilized 40 young people to return to their hometowns in just one day to help the victims get out of trouble, clear the silt and distribute materials. The young people were physically and mentally tense and almost sleepless, but with their familiarity with the terrain of their hometown and cultural organization, they became the shovel Superman in the disaster area, driving volunteers to smoothly participate in the rescue and accelerate the recovery of the tribe. News highlights: on the 8th, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to American chemist Omar Yaki, Susumu Kitagawa of Kyoto University, and Richard Robson of the University of Melbourne for their contributions to the fields of metal organic frameworks, MOFs, and covalent organic frameworks, COFs. Yagi founded grid chemistry, which can use porous materials to capture carbon dioxide, hydrogen, methane, and air moisture, collect drinking water in the desert with only sunlight and a small amount of materials, promote sustainable energy and water resource utilization, and cultivate young scientists through global cooperation to accelerate material research and development and the realization of sustainable development goals. News highlights: China's marriage rate hit a 47-year low, and post-95 marriages are Buddhist, and marriageable men are absent due to high housing prices, bride price, and wedding costs, resulting in the phenomenon of more women than men in the blind date market. The single population has exceeded 240 million, the wedding, real estate and maternal and child markets have shrunk, and the single economy has risen, reflecting the wave of young people refusing to marry and the profound adjustment of confidence in the future economy. News highlights: the competition between the RMB and the US dollar has intensified, and the idea of a super sovereign reserve currency has attracted attention again. People's Bank of China Governor Pan Gongsheng called for global financial governance reforms, hinting at a trend towards de-dollarization. Although Taiwan is not a member of the IMF, it is facing a new pattern of international currency and must lay out strategies early to avoid being marginalized under the multi-currency system. News highlights: Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang confirmed that he will invest in Musk's AI startup XAI, with an investment of about $20 billion, to support the construction of AI servers in the Memphis data center. This move is expected to drive another wave of supply chains such as Honhai, Wistron, Inventec, Compal, and MetaC, and at the same time provide a new model of GPU debt guarantee to accelerate global AI deployment. News highlights: the 4 major foundries recorded record revenue in September, with Quanta 1,841 billion yuan, Wistron 2034 billion yuan, Wyvern 863 billion yuan, and Inventec 606 billion yuan, all benefiting from strong demand for AI servers. AI products continued to pull goods this quarter. Notebook shipments were stable, and the overall performance outlook was optimistic. News highlights: Nvidia will increase the order volume of 800G optical communication modules by 35% in 2026, driving Taiwanese optical communication manufacturers Lianjun, Lianya, Huaxing Guang, Boru OEI, etc. to welcome large orders. With the acceleration of AI chip shipments, data center demand has surged. 800G modules have been delivered in batches, and 1.6T products will be released next year, boosting the overall growth of the optical communication industry. News highlights Zheng Weiming, the principal of Rujing Elementary School in Data District, Taichung, and the female director, a teacher surnamed Si, were exposed to use public leave or leave to go out many times, and they had gone in and out of the motorcycle and dining out together. Both denied having an affair. Zheng Nan said that he accompanied the woman to celebrate the change of mood or assist in assembling the lamps, while the woman emphasized that she was only supported, but the whistleblower believed that the behavior exceeded the normal boundary. News highlights Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma on the 7th at the age of 50. His close friend Steel Dad criticized on Facebook on the evening of the 8th that someone secretly took photos of the mourning hall and uploaded them to the community to rub traffic, emphasizing that the family has not yet agreed, and called for respect for the deceased and their families, and should not use this to make profits or gain attention. News highlights a student in Taichung discovered that after changing clerks at the Lei Erfo convenience store on campus, he had suspected a money behavior, including price reduction, don't want invoices to be cheaper, swiping vehicles but not crediting them, and incorrect invoice amounts. The student shared the situation on Threads, which attracted the attention of Lei Erfo officials, and they have been asked to provide contact information for follow-up processing. News highlights goddess Yang Jinhua and her husband Ben celebrated their bronze wedding and Ben's birthday, and invited friends to dinner at the Michelin-starred Japanese food Sushi Akira Aya in Zhongshan district on the evening of the 8th. In the evening, he moved to the Green Door bar to continue his stall and welcomed Double Happiness, and Yang Jinhua had just been shortlisted for the Golden Bell actress for the 7th time. News highlights the light typhoon Nakli and the strong typhoon Haiyan are currently dancing together, but they are both far away from Taiwan, and the weather during the National Day holiday will not be affected. Today's northeast monsoon cools down slightly, local short-term rain, the high temperature in the north and eastern half of Darwin is 31-33 degrees C, and the south can reach 36 degrees Celsius, and coastal areas are reminded to pay attention to high tides and seawater backflow. News highlights hundreds of hikers were trapped in the mountains at an altitude of about 4,000 meters, and 251 people were rescued after rescue, but a Taiwanese man unfortunately died of hypothermia and altitude sickness, highlighting the risk of high-altitude mountaineering. News highlights actor Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma on the 7th. Actress Tang Ling mourned and recalled that her father also died of lung adenocarcinoma, calling for attention to health and early screening, reminding the importance of low-dose computed tomography, LDCT, examination, and emphasizing that loving oneself requires courage and action. News highlights in recent years, Chinese capital has poured into South Korea, rapidly increasing investment in South Korean government bonds, stocks, and real estate, and increasing the proportion of direct investment. Although it helps to revitalize the market, it also raises concerns in the South Korean financial community that the economy is controlled by China. China has become South Korea's largest government bondholder and major trading partner, and the economic dependence between the two sides continues to deepen. South Korea's trade with China has been in deficit for the first time in 31 years since 2023, and experts warn that this trend may become the norm, indicating that South Korea's economy is facing the risk of China's influence expanding. News highlights the 6 committees of the Legislative Yuan jointly reviewed the special budget for economic, social, people's livelihood and national security resilience, and a total of 237 bills were proposed by the government and the opposition, and the Kuomintang legislator Ma Wenjun proposed more than 50 bills against the budget of the Ministry of National Defense, advocating the deletion of nearly 800 million yuan in long-term drinking water procurement. Ma believes that Taiwan's water supply is sufficient and the cost is too high. DPP legislators emphasized that military garrisons on wartime and outlying islands need to prepare water to maintain combat effectiveness. Defense Minister Gu Liqiang said that long-term water is to strengthen combat resilience without water. In the end, there was no consensus between the government and the opposition, and the proposal was reserved for negotiation. News highlights People's Party Chairman Huang Qiuaqing was involved in the paparazzi controversy, and the media once again exposed that many Green Camp people, including Premier Zhou Rongta, former Presidents Chen Jianren and Su Zhenchang, and the 3 Secretaries General of the government party, were secretly filmed by long-term imprisonment. Pan Junlin, a former photographer of K-Wen's, questioned that this behavior may involve the intervention of foreign funds or forces, and called on the National Security Unit to investigate thoroughly. Netizens criticized this move as a CCP method, questioning that it has gone beyond the scope of simple revelations and is like a national security crisis. News highlights the Dodgers won 2 wins in the National League Division Series, swept the Phillies to advance to the National League Championship game, and challenged for 2 consecutive World Series titles. However, CBS Sports columnist Perry pointed out that only 14 teams have achieved consecutive championships since 1903, and no team has succeeded in the past 25 years. Although the Dodgers have reached the playoffs for 13 consecutive years and have strong players such as Shohei Ohtani, historical data shows that the probability of winning consecutive championships is extremely low. News highlights a fatal car accident occurred in the early morning of the 9th on Wuquan Road, West District, Taichung City, where a 43-year-old man surnamed Lu drove out of control and rushed into a tea shop, killing a sleeping 87-year-old woman surnamed Zhang Li, and her 61-year-old son was sent to the hospital with a head injury. Lu Nan was trapped in the car and unconscious, and was rescued by firefighters and sent to the hospital. The police have applied for an appraisal permit, will collect blood and urine to confirm whether it is drunk driving or drug driving, and check the surveillance camera to clarify the cause of the accident. News highlights: after the overflow disaster of the Matayan dammed lake in Hualien, 7 schools, including Guangfu and Fuyuan, resumed classes after 2 weeks of dredging. Guangfu Elementary School and Junior High School resumed physical classes on the 7th, and Dajin Elementary School was divided between students and disaster victims. Students returned to school and happily reunited with their classmates, but they still couldn't hide their grief when talking about the dolls and pets that were swept away by the flood. The school has arranged psychological counseling to assist in post-disaster recovery. According to county statistics, the attendance rate of 7 schools exceeded 80%, and students in the disaster area showed tenacity to return to the pace of learning. News highlights: the amendments to administrative regulations have been sent to the Executive Yuan for review, and officials said that the Executive Yuan will reply to support as soon as possible. In response to concerns that if the CCP locks Taiwan and natural gas can only support 11 days, Gong Mingzhen, chairman of the National Development Council, pointed out that the government is strengthening energy security, and in addition to extending the number of days of gas storage, it can also rely on coal, hydropower, and backup energy. The proportion of renewable energy is expected to increase to 20% by the end of 2026, which can provide about 1/5 of the electricity to ensure a stable power supply. News highlights: on the 17th day after the overflow disaster of the Matayan Creek dammed lake in Hualien, most of the roads have been cleared. In addition to thanking more than 100,000 shovel supermen, the Shuang Bay City Heavy Machinery Disaster Relief Brigade has also become a road rush superman. The team members went to the rescue the day after the disaster, working day and night shifts, sleeping only 5 hours a day to clear the road. Captain Chen Changji said that despite his fatigue, he still devoted himself to disaster relief with love. Where there is no difficulty, even if there is, it must be solved, showing the warmth and resilience of Taiwanese people. News highlights: affected by the international gold price hitting new highs, there was a rush to buy silver buildings in Bangqiao and Kaohsiung, New Taipei. People mostly use gold to preserve their value or seek a sense of security, while the elderly buy large amounts and young people often choose small gold jewelry. The domestic gold price has reached 14,600 to 15,000 yuan per dollar, and investors are even expanding their holdings by exchanging gold for gold. The central bank holds 422.7 metric tons of gold, a 10-fold increase in book value. News highlights: the Meteorological Administration said that today, 9th, due to the northeast monsoon, there will be local brief showers on the windward side and in the southern mountainous areas, and the high temperature in Tainan may reach 36 degrees, so you need to pay attention to sun protection and hydration. Tomorrow, 10th, National Day, the northeast wind weakens, there are scattered rains in the north, northeast and Hengchun Peninsula, and there are still thunderstorms in the mountainous areas south of Mili and the southern area in the afternoon, with temperatures of 31-33 degrees in the north and 33-35 degrees in the central and southern parts. News highlights: 50-year-old Li's mother sought medical attention due to long-term exposure to second-hand smoke at home, and low-dose computed tomography accidentally found a 0.8 cm grounded glass nodule in the lower left lung lobe. Lung cancer has no obvious symptoms in the early stages, the proportion of non-smokers is increasing, low-dose computed tomography can help early detection, and high-risk groups should be screened regularly and stay away from risk factors. News highlights: an 87-year-old mother living in a cubicle died on the spot, and her 61-year-old son and Lu Nan were injured and sent to the hospital. The police have investigated the cause of the accident and will determine whether the driver was drunk or drugged. News highlights: Zheng Qiuchen recently attended the 2025 Love Never Stops charity gala. His weight dropped from 91 kilograms to 85 kilograms, and he successfully lost 6 kilograms in 2 months. He said that the reason for losing weight was to sprain his knee while playing basketball, and through traditional Chinese medicine to regulate his physique, he ate less and moved more, not relying on drastic means, which not only lost weight but also improved flexibility. Experts remind that traditional Chinese medicine weight loss needs to be adjusted according to physical fitness, combined with regular exercise and a healthy diet, in order to be safe and effective and avoid weight gain. News highlights: child star Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma on the 7th at the age of 50. He angrily accused someone of secretly taking photos of the mourning hall and uploading them to social media to rub traffic, believing that this move was disrespectful to the deceased and their families, and called on the outside world to respect the grief of the family, otherwise the relevant account will be made public as a warning. News highlights: physician Liu Boren pointed out that a 40-year-old female businessman suffered mitochondrial damage and a large number of free radicals due to long-term high pressure, staying up late, fast eating and lack of exercise, making her look older than her peers and often feel tired. Improvement methods include eating the right food, exercising more, getting enough sleep, managing stress, and intermittent fasting to maintain mitochondria and delay aging. News highlights People's Party chairman Huang Qiaoqing has been accused of forming a paparazzi group since 2021, following politicians for a long time, and cooperating with media such as Ling Media and Minbao to expose them. Since 2022, the subjects of candid photography include Premier Su Zhenchang, Chen Jianren, Quasi-Cabinet Minister Zhou Rongta, Supervisory Yuan Chenju, as well as the three Secretaries General of the prefectural and court parties, police chiefs, cabinet ministers, legislators, supervisory committee members and other Green Camp dignitaries. According to reports, Huang Qiaoqing's paparazzi secretly filmed content throughout officials' private dinners, events, and public occasions, and was even sold by Kuomintang legislators, arousing concerns about political privacy and media ethics from the outside world. News highlights a police officer surnamed Liu of the Baitu detachment of Taipei City and a police officer surnamed Feng of the New Taipei Tom Sui branch were suspected of colluding with car dealerships to allow the owner of the suspended license plate to get the license plate on the road in advance with a false traffic report form. Another former detective involved in the case, Tom Sui former detective Caizn, changed his name to Chen Yi, and fled and did not arrive. The prosecution pointed out that each car operator charges about 1,800 yuan in agency fees, and the car owner can save 13 to 52 yuan in usage fees. News highlights because of a debt dispute with the late man surnamed Peng, a woman surnamed Li in Hsinchu actually pretended to pay homage to Peng Nan's funeral and used her body fingers to imprint forged EIS and promissory notes in an attempt to create the illusion of debt. After the trial, the court sentenced Li Nu to 2 years in prison, 5 years of probation, a fine of 5 yuan and 90 hours of compulsory labor for the crime of counterfeiting securities. News highlights Ma Wenjun, a member of the Foreign Affairs and National Defense Committee of the Legislative Yuan and a member of the Kuomintang legislature, pointed out that among the 5,700 billion yuan special budget for strengthening resilience prepared by the Executive Yuan, the budget of the Ministry of National Defense is as high as 1,132 billion yuan, but the content is unreasonable. Including 5 yuan each officer seat for the Joint Operations Center, 3,045 yuan for renewing equipment in the wargame room, 120 yuan per bottle of 500 cubic centimeters bottled water for combat reserves, and the purchase of ice water hosts by the National Defense University, etc., are limited to strengthening homeland defense energy. Ma Wenjun emphasized that strict control will be carried out and the Ministry of National Defense is required to provide a reasonable explanation. News highlights South Korea's 26-year-old TikTok influencer Yoon Jia was found dead in the mountains after a live broadcast in mid-September this year, and the suspect was Kui, a community financier in his 50s and a pseudonym Black Cat. Kui was a successful entrepreneur on the surface and spent money, but in reality he was in high debt, and the house was auctioned off on the day of the incident. Because Yoon Jia refused to cooperate again, Kui lost control of her emotions and strangled her to death and abandoned her body in the mountains. The police locked Kui within 12 hours, and he finally pleaded guilty. The case exposes the dark side of fame and fortune and the depravity of human nature in the community industry. News highlights Zhang Chaiwei debuted with the boy group C.T.O in 2018 and entered his 7th year this year, participating in drafts in Taiwan, mainland China, and Hong Kong. He revealed that during the competition, he was restricted from moving and facing low tides, relying on sports, creation, and reading to relieve stress, and thanked his friends for their companionship and support. After leaving C.T.O, he released the singles UUU and Move, saying that he left the group due to the expiration of his contract and the direction was different, and he maintained no complaints with his former boss Luo's Hixiang, and believed that his past training had strengthened his discipline and anti-pressure. News highlights under the fitness trend, protein powder is widely favored, but excessive amounts may damage the kidneys and intestines. A 48-year-old fitness person in Japan drinks 4-5 cups of protein powder every day, causing diarrhea and intestinal bacteria to be imbalanced. Experts recommend consuming as needed, choosing separated, lactose-free products, and combining them with exercise and a balanced diet to avoid chronic health risks caused by long-term excess. News highlights National Taiwan University's 5 daughters of state-owned enterprises. Chen Kuang-gai posted photos of a party 2 years ago and accidentally photographed a married senior surnamed Huang, causing a dispute between the two parties. Huang Nan asked to be removed from the shelves, and Chen replied that please send a letter to a lawyer for infringement, and the incident spread to the point where wealthy businessman Guo Yongfu also exposed conversations in the community, expressing his helplessness and dissatisfaction. News highlights People's Party chairman Huang Qiaoqing is suspected of being involved in paparazzi filming, and Minister of Economic Affairs Gong Mingzhen revealed that he was also suspected of being imprisoned during his tenure as Secretary General of the Executive Yuan last year. He said that he would trust the police to deal with it in the future, and whether to file a complaint would depend on the follow-up. News highlights the Criminal Bureau has reported to the New Taipei District Prosecutor's Office and notified the curator to come to the case on October 15 to explain. In addition, a man surnamed Zhang in Baishi left a message in the community saying chasing Li Qingde and was prosecuted by the Shilin District Prosecutor's Office for the crime of intimidation and endangering safety. News highlights: the emotional clip of DPP legislator Wang Shijian's questioning was adapted into a funny song Unpromising by Chinese netizens, which went viral on Taiwanese and Chinese social platforms in just a few days, causing heated discussions. News highlights: Kaohsiung's 56-year-old female scribe surnamed Sun fell to her death due to a debt of about 1.6 billion yuan, and her daughter accused Fengshan Xiling Palace Lord Sister Hua of encouraging borrowing money in the name of mother and mother's instructions and investment and robbery. News highlights: a 21-year-old woman surnamed Chen in Dajia, Taichung, was suspected of being imprisoned by her mother for 3 years in the name of discipline, and she starved to death weighing only more than 30 kilograms. The mother, a woman surnamed Zhang, was detained for destruction of evidence. Her father was released on bail pending arraignment, and Chen News Morning Hall was simply handled, and only her sister attended, shocking the society. News highlights: when YouTuber Hey Mom matched a strong man with a European and American female guest, the woman showed an embarrassed expression on the spot, which caused criticism from netizens. After the video was cyberbullied, the black man took it down and apologized, and the woman also responded on IG, emphasizing that she did not like the man. News highlights: actor Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma at the age of 50, and when the morning hall was open for condolences, someone secretly filmed and uploaded it to the community to rub traffic, which caused angry criticism from his friend Steel Dad, warning that if he did not consent from the family, he would make it public on Facebook, calling for respect for the deceased and their families. News highlights: Lamex chairman Weissman announced the acquisition of Alvogen US for $6.58 billion, acquired a manufacturing and sales base in the United States, and became an American pharmaceutical concept stock, and the stock price soared by more than 30% in recent days. This merger and acquisition will not only grasp the US end market and channels, increase the proportion of revenue to 70%, but also pave the way for the research and development of 505(b)(2) new drugs after the expiration of blood cancer drug patents, continuing the momentum of Lamex's 10-year continuous growth. News highlights: the Taipei City Council discussed the issue of universal cash, and the DPP proposed that each citizen could receive about 2.1 yuan, but the Kuomintang emphasized the need to consider financial discipline and annual shortfalls, and would propose a version of the trial calculation amount. The Beijing City Finance Bureau will also provide a trial calculation of the amount, and the final amount to be paid is still to be decided by the council. News highlights: Honhai originally negotiated to purchase Nissan's Kanagawa Oiba plant as an electric vehicle OEM base, but due to Nissan's delay in replying and the price being too high, the negotiations broke down. Nissan is still considering selling or reusing the factory, and Honhai chairman Liu Yanggui emphasized that the two parties are cooperation cases, not mergers and acquisitions or cross-brands, and there is still the possibility of cooperation in the future. News highlights: Zhonghua National Highway No. 1 Zihu Interchange once had a popular T-bar advertisement Dachin Twisted Bone Blue, which attracted attention with a half-length photo of a man in a blue shirt and 5-character text, and was once jokingly called a landmark. The advertisement focuses on horse chestnut health drinks, which have caused a lot of buzz due to successful marketing, but they have been quietly removed from the shelves recently, becoming a nostalgic memory for netizens. News highlights: recently, some netizens mistakenly believed in a fraudulent post that you can get a Korean group table calendar for free by paying only the shipping fee, and as a result, they were defrauded of 12 yuan. The Criminal Bureau reminds that fraud groups often use fake gifts on social platforms to induce people to enter personal information and remit money, and the public should be vigilant. Do not click on unfamiliar links or operate online banking, and call the 165 anti-fraud hotline for verification if in doubt. News highlights: Indian singer and actor Rajveer Jawanda, was seriously injured in a collision with a stray cow while riding a motorcycle on September 27, and died on October 8 due to multiple organ failure after 11 days of medical rescue. News highlights: Nvidia locked in ByteDance T17 and T18 to set up Asian headquarters, but because the superficial rights were held by Shinkong Life Insurance, the difference between the agreed termination and the termination fee was large, resulting in a stuck stoppage. The city government proposed T12 for the record, and New Taipei and Kaohsiung took advantage of the situation to grab people. New Life proposed 4 plans to fully cooperate with Nvidia, but emphasized protecting the rights and interests of shareholders and policyholders in accordance with the law. The outside world questioned that Zhenqiu took the opportunity to raise prices and raise land to wait for prices, and the case became a test of Taipei's AI investment promotion and administrative efficiency. News highlights: 50-year-old actor Yan Zhenqiu died of lung adenocarcinoma, and geneticist Zhang Jiaming reminded that in addition to quitting smoking, lifestyle and diet also affect the risk of lung cancer. Stress such as lack of sleep, disrupted work and rest, air pollution, excessive sugar, and staying up late to scroll through mobile phones can promote the formation of aggregations in cells, which can become a breeding ground for cancer cells. It is recommended to eat more protein, vegetables, and antioxidant foods, eat 3 meals regularly and get enough sleep, which can reduce the risk of lung cancer. News highlights: American quantum physicist John M. Martinis won the Nobel Prize in Physics for his discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanics tunneling effect and energy quantization in the Berkeley Laboratory 40 years ago, laying the foundation for superconducting quantum computers. He led Google's quantum AI team and founded Colab to collaborate with Academia Sinica to develop qubits. Martinez praised Taiwan for its basic research and manufacturing capabilities, and was impressed by the scenery of mountains and seas and the human touch, and looked forward to continued cooperation in the future. He emphasized that quantum research relies on pragmatic science, not mythology. News highlights: recently, the price of gold futures has exceeded $4,000 per ounce, a record high, and has risen by 51% this year, attracting market attention. Analysts pointed out that despite the fact that U.S. stocks have repeatedly hit new highs, investors are still turning to gold for safe haven purposes to diversify risks and reduce dependence on the U.S. dollar and U.S. sovereignty. The U.S. dollar has depreciated more than 9% against major currencies this year, indicating a decline in global investors' trust in the U.S. system and seeking asset allocation diversification and de-dollarization strategies. News highlights: Tatung police reminded that running a red light not only refers to crossing the intersection straight at a red light, as long as the vehicle crosses the stop line and enters the intersection area at a red light, it is also considered a violation, and the fine ranges from 1,800 to 5,400 yuan depending on the violation. If you turn right at a red light or overhang over the stop line, you will be fined $600 to $1,800 or $900 to $1,800. The police appealed to people to obey signals and markings when passing through intersections, slow down or stop to ensure safety, and avoid fines. News highlights: a hacking incident occurred in Xinzhuang, New Taipei City this morning, 9th. A 73-year-old man surnamed Su and his 64-year-old girlfriend surnamed Chu were kicked out of the house by Mrs. Chu's son a few days ago due to incompatible living habits. Su Weng was furious and slashed Chu Fu 4 times with a knife, causing 2 injuries above the collarbone, 1 knife in the chest and 1 knife on the right palm. Mrs. Chu reluctantly ran to the house for help, and was not in danger of life after being sent to the hospital. The police quickly arrested Su Weng, and the case will be investigated as attempted murder. The police call on emotional disputes to be handled rationally and not to be resolved violently, and the public can seek psychological counseling or social resource assistance. News highlights: Hualien Mataon Creek dammed lake overflowed, causing serious disasters. Star soldier Huang Ensi returned home to clean up the silt and serve as volunteers, while Sun Cai, sister Yuntuo and the brothers of the National Army also went to support, showing the spirit of unity and cooperation between the military and the people for disaster relief. News highlights: mainland actor Yu Hao fell to his death last month, and the police ruled out homicide, but the suspected recording of his abuse during his lifetime and the news of his dog being abused circulated on the internet, raising doubts about the cause of death and the whereabouts of the dog. The friend said that the dog had been adopted and denied the authenticity of the video. News highlights: actress Lulu, Huang Luzian, married Chen Handian in September, and recently shared her relationship on the podcast, saying that the two naturally went from friends to lovers, and marriage is based on mutual tolerance and protection. News highlights: after the Hualien liberation flood, firefighters advanced to the front line of disaster relief, but they slept for a long time, had insufficient meals, and were restricted from applying for dangerous labor allowances, causing dissatisfaction. The Hualien County government has apologized to the firefighters, promised to improve meals and hoped that the central government would leniently recognize the dangerous labor allowance. News highlights: Taipei's 101th National Day will hold a fireworks and drone show at 10 p.m. on October 10, with a 12-minute display, and 500 drone formations and fireworks throughout the building will be displayed simultaneously. The surrounding lanes will be closed and controlled at different times, and the Xinyi Police Branch calls on the public to take more public transportation and pay attention to diversion information. News highlights: the Ministry of Economic Affairs has received a letter from NVIDIA's entrustment letter to take stock of Taipei City and other land that meets the needs, and will reply before October 24. Experts believe that if the land issue cannot be resolved, NVIDIA may turn to other countries, affecting the layout of major AI construction. News highlights: in order to improve driving safety for the elderly, Taipei City will launch the Senior Car Driving Safety Course on October 17, combining driving reaction testing, road practice, and traffic law teaching, and those who complete it will receive a subsidy of 3,000 yuan. The course refers to the experience of Japan, aiming to extend the right of the elderly to independently transport, reduce the risk of accidents, and ensure road safety. News highlights: Huida plans to enter 5 state-owned lands, of which the house price in Taipei's Songnan camp is the highest, at 95.2 yuan per ping, but the increase is only 13.9%. Kaohsiung Asian New Bay Area Special Trade 5 rose the strongest, reaching 45%. Experts believe that technology themes can heat up the housing market in the short term, but long-term housing prices still depend on population and regional demand. News highlights: coconut fruit is not coconut meat, but is fermented with coconut water and woody acetic acid bacteria. After harvesting coconut water, it is heated with sugar, fermented for 5-7 days to form a gelatinous fruit, and is transported to Taiwan after sterilization, acid soaking and preservative, dicing and vacuum packaging. During processing, sugar, gelatin, spices and colors are added to flavor to make the chewy coconut fruit commonly found in hand-shaken drinks and jellies. News highlights affected by rising global financial and geopolitical risks. The international gold price exceeded $4,000 per ounce for the first time on the 8th, and silver also reached a new high. Experts pointed out that central bank buying, ETF capital inflows, and expectations of U.S. interest rate cuts have pushed up precious metal prices, and gold, silver, platinum, and palladium have risen across the board, and the rally may continue until 2026. However, the technical side shows that the short term is overheated, and the market still needs to be vigilant about risks. News highlights the land of Nvidia's Taiwan headquarters is stuck, and the Beijing city government proposed the plan for BICE T12 in Songnan Camp. Taipei Mayor Zhang Wannan said that the city government has assisted Nvidia in surveying multiple plots of land, whether it is central, municipal, or private land, as long as it settles in Taipei, it will fully assist. News highlights Delta's stock price has soared recently, rising from 280 yuan to 900 yuan, and once rushed to 995 yuan yesterday, becoming a watch stock. In August, the net profit after tax was 58.54 billion yuan, EPS was 2.25 yuan, an increase of 49% year-on-year, and the EPS in the second quarter also increased by 40% year-on-year. The market is optimistic that demand for AI servers will drive power supply and liquid cooling shipments, and it is expected that revenue in the third quarter will hit a new quarterly high, with great potential to challenge the 1,000 yuan mark in the long run. News highlights chimpanzee expert Jane Goodall passed away on October 1 at the age of 91. Netflix then released the first episode of the new documentary The Famous Last Words, revealing the content of her interview in March this year. Jane Good named Musk, Trump, Xi Jinping, Putin, and Netanyahu with black humor, hoping to send them into space while leaving the final message to the world: don't lose hope, you have the ability to change the world and do your best to protect the earth. News highlights AI giant Nvidia invested $50 billion in its old rival Intel in September to jointly develop PC and data center chips, symbolizing the transformation of the two sides from competitors to strategic allies. Huida CEO Jensen Huang said that this cooperation is based on long-term friendship and a win-win vision to help meet the rapidly growing demand for AI, and emphasized the need for the United States to establish a global AI technology system, while warning that a comprehensive export ban on China may harm the long-term interests of U.S. companies. News highlights the S&P 500 has repeatedly hit new highs, but the VIX Panic Index has risen simultaneously. Experts warn that if the AI investment bubble bursts, consumer spending is under pressure, and the labor market is weak, the S&P 500 may fall by 30%, and it will take several years to recover. News highlights Huida CEO Huang Rongxun said that if the Trump administration's new regulations require paying $10 for each H-1B visa application, he and his family may not be able to immigrate to the United States that year. He emphasized that immigration is the foundation of the American dream, allowing those who work hard to create a better future. News highlights Taiwanese passengers threw betel nuts in the smoking room at Okinawa Airport, causing netizens to angrily criticize them for losing face and throwing them abroad. Some people have witnessed betel nut juice spitting into air purifiers or throwing slag into rivers, and both Japan and Taiwan have banned the entry and exit of uninspected betel nut. News highlights Kuomintang legislator Ma Wen-jun questioned the floating budget of the Ministry of National Defense, including 5 yuan per officer's seat, 120 yuan per 500 cubic centimeters bottle of water, and 250 yuan for conference tables and chairs. The Ministry of National Defense stated that the chairs must be ergonomic, long-term high-pressure use, the water is 5-year storage special drinking water, and the conference table is a large combination table, all of which are arranged according to actual combat needs and will cooperate with the adjustment of the budget. News highlights in the Tiger Gully blizzard accident in Hebei Prefecture, Qinghai Province, all 251 trapped tigers were rescued, but the only victim was a Taiwanese man who died of altitude sickness and hypothermia. The group hiked privately and entered the mountain without official approval. The Taiwan Straits Foundation has launched an assistance process to assist family members in handling the aftermath and repatriation of ashes. News highlights mainland actor Yu Hazy fell to his death on the 11th of last month, and the police ruled out homicide, but the internet leaked a recording of suspected abuse during his lifetime, raising doubts about the impure cause of death. Recently, it was reported that his dogs Corgi Fulai and French Doham passed away as early as June, and some netizens said that they were suspected of being massacred and flowed into the dark web, but his friend Wang Yusen said that the dog has been properly adopted, and it is inconvenient to comment on the authenticity of the image. News highlights the weather during the National Day holiday was affected by the northeast wind, with local brief showers on the north coast of Keelung, Yunnan, and the Hengchun Peninsula, scattered rain in Huadong and Taipei, and high temperatures in the central and southern parts. Meteorological expert Xu Xingxing reminded that the second wave of northeast winds will be stronger and last longer, and there will still be sporadic short-term rain in the afternoon mountains during the holidays and next week, so please pay attention to the latest forecast. News highlights the restaurant Mingxiang Yuan Ice Room has been plagued by frequent controversies recently, with the person in charge being involved in a money laundering case, and a consumer suspected of food poisoning on the 3rd of this month. The store asked for medical certificates and asked netizens to delete the accusation post, otherwise they would file a lawsuit for defamation, which caused netizens to criticize it as threatening consumers and eye-opening. News highlights the layout of the 2026 Taipei mayoral election continues, and the Kuomintang Zhang Wannan is striving for re-election, and the DPP has Lin Yusheng, Wu Yunong, Zheng Lijun, Wang Shijian, and other 6 people were named. Kuomintang lawmaker Zhang Sigang believes that if Wang Shijian runs, he will pose the greatest threat to Zhang Wannan, but Wang Shijian emphasized that he is concentrating on legislative work and has no intention of running for election. News highlights Hualien's Matayan Creek dammed lake overflowed in September and hit Guangfu Township hard. The artist Yang Yang went to disaster relief in a low-key manner, and the shoveling shot was praised as super serious, almost no rest. She wore sunscreen equipment to clean up the mud under the scorching sun, and said that she was assigned a clear water ditch, continued to dig the entire street, and reminded herself to replenish more water. News highlights 50-year-old actor Yan Zhenqiu passed away from lung adenocarcinoma on the 7th, and the bad news shocked the circle. Friends Li Qiana and Wang Shenghe went to the morning hall to help fold lotus flowers in a low-key manner for 2 consecutive days, and Wang's Hixian and Gu Bin were also present to pay their respects, recalling Yan Zhenqiu's righteousness, filial piety, giving actors space to perform, and often reporting good news rather than sorrow, which is reluctant. News highlights NVIDIA originally planned to set up a Taiwan headquarters in Bishkek, but was at an impasse due to land use issues. President Lai Ching-te said that the central government will fully assist, and the Ministry of Finance will take stock of a number of state-owned lands, among which the Songnan camp has the most potential. Taipei Mayor Zhang Wannan pointed out that as long as Huida is elected in Taipei, no matter who the land belongs to, the city government will cooperate with the central government to make every effort to promote the settlement. News highlights the political paparazzi spread, and Minister of Economic Affairs Gong Mingzhen confirmed that he was imprisoned when he was the Secretary General of the Executive Yuan in June this year, and the situation was discovered and reported by the driver. The media pointed out that the renter of the vehicle involved in the case is suspected to be Huang Qiaking's former assistant. Gong Mingzhen said that it has been handed over to the police for handling, and will decide whether to file a complaint based on the results of the investigation. News highlights the latest research points out that replacing pork with black soy milk as a protein source can significantly reduce glycation end products, DIEs, in the body, improve gut microbiota and reduce inflammatory responses. Dr. Wang Xiun said that black soy milk is rich in plant-based protein, which can not only delay aging, protect the intestines and strengthen the body, but also reduce the burden on the kidneys. She suggests replacing some meat with black soy milk, tofu, or dried tofu to achieve anti-aging and metabolism promotion effects. News highlights Chen Songshan, former director of the Bian office, wrote in the Formosa Electronic News that the DPP has fallen into an apocalyptic phenomenon after the defeat of the recall, with internal and external difficulties, political inheritance faults, and even the candidate for mayor of Taipei is difficult to give birth. He criticized that if only Wu Yunong, Miao Boya, and other second armies were pushed into battle, it would be difficult to defeat Zhang Wannan, which would be like losing before the battle, and Tsai Ing-wen and Li King would be to blame. Chen suggested that the DPP should launch candidates with national appeal such as Zhou Rongta, Zheng Lijun, Lin Jialong, or Chen Kamai to reverse the decline.